Hey y'all, my name is Frederica and welcome back to the third episode of Debunking the Myth of a Superwoman. This journey has been awesome and I'm so glad that I showed up. Well, today I brought along another queen to chop it up on our next topic, when it's over. So come on in and get involved in this conversation. Today I'm joined with two-time Olympian, 1992 silver medalist, and my friend Lavonna Martin-Floreal. And we're going to be talking about when it's over. Lavonna, welcome.
Thank you, Freddie. Thank you. Shout out to the Lady Vols.
Yes, when it's over. What does that mean? That means transitioning from retirement. We're talking about transitioning from being the sole care providers for our children to empty nesters. So there's just so many aspects with when it's over. For me personally, I just recently retired after 23 years of law enforcement, and it was a huge just re-strategizing and restructuring my life. So I can just, it's so many steps that I had to take to just get back to that normalcy, that civilian life, quote unquote. Lavonna, just what about you being a high-level athlete and traveling all over the world representing the United States? How was that transition and just coming from that athletic level of athleticism to being kind of like a normal civilian yourself?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me and allowing me to be part of your podcast and your discussion. And you're so right. When it's over, it encompasses so much. In particular, when I think about it from the perspective of being a woman, it encompasses a lot because we're layered. Mm-hmm. We're moms, we're wives, we're taking care of our extended families, we're friends. And oftentimes we have a difficulty of moving from, I think you said this to me before, like that memory part of our lives. Remember we've talked about this, about being stuck in a time frame where this is that particular memory and you want to replicate those feelings constantly. So I would say as an elite level athlete, that's probably what I struggled with for so many years. And that's why it's been in my heart to have a discussion about when it's over.
Yeah, right. Yeah, definitely mean what you say about that. You know, me just being a police officer, just transitioning, because my main goal was to protect and serve the public. That's all I did: protect and serve, putting myself in hurt, harm, and danger, really. Right. So now I'm coming from that. I always had to be just at my best, mentally, physically, emotionally. At least I had to act like I was, and there was times where I didn't feel that way. But I always had to put on that. This is what this whole podcast is about: put on that whole superwoman persona. And now I'm just kind of transition. I'm coming back down, and I feel like I can really take care of myself. I can really deal with those issues that I was suppressing, that I wasn't handling. So yeah, it's been a good transition for me. Now I'm just in a position where I can just kind of empower, inspire, and motivate, and pay it forward.
Yes. Well, I think what happens is that, like, recently I've talked to a lot of elite level athletes because that's my sphere of influence. We all get a chance to, if you're wise about how we go through this life, you'll see where your level of influence will be. And one thing that I have noticed is that when you have worked at such a high level, whether it be as a law enforcement or whether it be as an athlete or any job that you do, when you work at such a high level, there is a level of difficulty when it's time to transition. My thoughts and my goals how can we transition and be triumphant in that transition? Like, I'll give you an example. I was talking to a young man the other day, high-level Olympian, high-level football player. He's making a transition. He's a dad, married, and his career is almost at the tail end of his career. And he is struggling. Like, what do I do? Who am I? How do I navigate my way through this life? And I just feel like it's an honor to be able to have gone through this own personal journey that I've had, to be able to talk to him, to say, you know what? It's okay. It's okay to recognize that you're seeing that you're not going to be this person, but you're going to be even greater in the next steps of your life to be this person based off of the experiences that you learned as in elitism and athletics and at high-level athletics.
Wow, yeah, that's a good point you made there. Yeah, you just hit a good point, even thinking we're both parents, we're both mothers, and my daughter recently got married. So again, of course, I love the joy of being a mother. And when you're in the midst of it, you're taking care of her, and it's like so much work. We're juggling our work life, our life, and our children are a big aspect of that. And recently my daughter got married, and it's like, I'm an empty nester, now what? So that's a whole transition as well, because it's like you got to pull back because now you have this adult. but you're used to, I mean, yes, I still empower her, but I have to do it in a way, it's on a different level of empowerment because now this is an adult. So that was a huge transition for me, just giving her the room now to make her choices, and her, even though I might don't agree with them or might agree with them,
Right.
they're her choices though. Whereas before I was just kind of calling all the shots in her life. So that was a huge transition for me too, just coming from a single mother, because me and Shai had been together
Right.
with me being a widow, and that was a huge transition for me as well. So yeah, I can understand what you're saying with just coming from that level of like calling the shots, and then like now just changing things up.
Yeah, and in my life, I feel like at the level I was athletically, I made 2 Olympic teams, as you already mentioned. I got a silver medal. So therefore, you can imagine, I mean, I'm not from New York, so I'm from a little small town in Dayton, Ohio. So I was a star in Dayton, Ohio, right? And so it transitioning from stardom being important in my mind, that was the problem. It was the identification of what I thought of as important, but being important in my mind, and then transitioning from, okay, I'm this big star, and now I'm back to this just one of the stars in the galaxy, you know, amongst many. That was a challenge. And I think what I realized, which is what we have had some really good conversations about, I didn't deal with it. So I just kept that in a space in my heart or in my head or wherever. And it's almost like I was trying to replicate that feeling. I'll give you another example. When I stood on the medal stand to get my Olympic medal, I remember this very vividly. I'm standing on the stand and they're putting the medal around my neck, and, you know, Lavonna Martin, and I get a chance to wave to the crowd and all this. And I thought to myself with the medal around my neck, is that it? Like, I was expecting the sky to open and the Disney song to start playing that song, and the birds to, you know, and I didn't have any of that. And I remember asking God when I was standing there, like, this is what I work for? And immediately I heard God tell me, this is not about you. This is about all the people that have come alongside you, that have prayed for you, that stood in the gap for you, that did everything that needed for you to get to this point. And you need to recognize that the journey of it was the best part.
Wow.
That's what I think that I'm realizing, like, when it's over. I don't think that I took the time to understand and to appreciate that journey that I was on was phenomenal. It was great. It gave me, just like the medal, another platform, another opportunity. I mean, I was a teacher for 15 years, and one thing I could do was bring that medal out in front of parents, and I can wave it in their face and hypnotize them, and they would think that I was the greatest person in the whole world because they were impressed. That's right. So I realized, and it's taken me, again, a long journey to get to this point, that is just like one small aspect. That is over. It was great. It was some of the best parts of my life. But that doesn't mean that the rest of my life has no meaning.
Right.
And I think that's what happens to athletes, is that you spent so much of your life perfecting your craft. I'm sure that happens to you as a police officer. You spend so much of your time perfecting your craft, taking care of people, that when that's over, now what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, very good point. We definitely see some similarities, but total different end of the spectrums. But yeah, just being a police officer, like a lot of my friends that are still within that department, they want to retire, but they're like, what do I do next? I said, whatever you want to do. But again, as a police officer, you have a certain authority. You're given certain authority to make tough decisions. Sometimes you're taking people's liberty away if they break the law, or so on and so forth. I mean, you know what that all entails, but yeah, and so now coming to a point where it's just about you, and that's what the public don't know. Out of that uniform, you're just a regular person,
There
you know.
you go.
And some people, I think a lot of people have made that police officer status like that's their identity. Outside of that, they don't have anything else. Right. So I think once it's gone, then you know what else do they have? Unlike me, that wasn't my case. I literally I just appreciate everything that I've learned. Being an instructor, I had an opportunity to receive so much training, and so just to take that, and I see myself as a role model. Being the first female aircraft rescue or firefighter instructor in my department. So I was a trailblazer in my department, so I set a lot of examples for a lot of individuals, and I just feel that even though I'm no longer in that law enforcement arena, I left a mark there. I became an example for many women. They have an example, if she did it,
Right.
I can do it too. So even though I'm finished with that whole aspect of being a police officer or a police instructor, I now can take that and do things like I'm doing now.
Right.
Empower people, inspire people. So
Right. Well, that's one of the reasons why I love talking to you, because, you know, you'll say something and then something will click in my spirit and it's like, oh, you know what? I didn't think about that. So let me tell you what clicked for me that you just said. I think that we kind of walk through life and we feel safe when we have a script. Mm-hmm. So my script was I had a coach that would tell me what to do. And if I can follow the script of what the coach tell me what to do, right, then I could be successful. Yeah. Okay, well now that's over. I'm in a new lane. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a teacher. I don't have a script for this. And you know as well as I know that raising a child, there is no script. Right. You know, so now I realize, and it never dawned on me until right now, I feel safer when I have the script. Wow. When I know the path that I'm supposed to be walking on. Part of that is because that's what Christendom has taught us too, right? Is that there's this path and every person has the path that they're supposed to walk on. But what we really don't talk about is there is a level of trust that as I move from one stage of my life to the next stage, like I'm in the middle age stage of my life. I've never been here before, but there's safety in knowing that God's got me. He put the people in my life that are supposed to be there. The part of raising children is over, but it's also a joy to be able to step into something new, something different. I didn't understand that when I came out of my career. I just wanted to continue to replicate that feeling that I had when I was this athlete that was revered and respected. And now I realize, okay, yeah, that was just for that season. We've talked about that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, right. So it's like after your career, you just like you became the coach. You became the coach of your children. You became the coach of this new lifestyle.
Right.
Yeah, I was in that kind of similar situation, being a single mother, widow. I called the shots, and like I said, I didn't ever know all the answers. And I would remember telling my daughter each year, Shia, this is my first time being the mother of a 16-year-old or a 15-year-old. We know a 17-year-old. So that's what life is just about. Just making those choices and just trusting in God. Just having my faith in God. That's what really helped me. And that's what I'm leaning on now too. What are my next steps? I just feel like I know my purpose is to empower and inspire people to just be at their best, to move to their best levels, you know? So I'm just going to trust the new arena in my life and just go with what God has planned for me. Right. So I'm looking forward for that new lifestyle.
But I think it's important for people to really understand that the next step, the next feeling may not feel like what it did before.
Right.
Again, that's that replication I was talking about. I think I was wanting to have that important feeling. Again, we've talked about this a lot. I think and it made me stuck, right? Instead of recognizing the state that I was in, the stage that I was in, the path that I was walking, it changed. So, like, for example, as a teacher, I got the same kind of high out of being a teacher as I did as an elite athlete. Like, encouraging kids towards their goals, I know what that feels like. So I felt very valued that I was able to encourage kids academically to reach their level of their goals. But I think I still was missing something in the fact that motherhood is hard. Being a wife is hard. Navigating your way as just a regular person is hard. And I think in so many ways that I keep that's the word that keeps coming in my mind, is that I wanted to replicate a feeling at a time that I felt valued and important, instead of recognizing I'm already valued. I'm already, and it just changes, right? It may change, and so therefore the memories of what I had as this elite level athlete, it's not the same. And so, as you and I have talked on many occasions, I got to let that go. I got to let that be a memory. And I can go back to it every once in a while, like how we come together and we just laugh about our days at Tennessee. Right. But that's it. Our days at Tennessee are no longer.
Right, exactly.
Right. I love when you told me you keep interacting with me like I'm the Freddie from Tennessee.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that I was doing that, because I think that some people, that's what we do. We put people in boxes instead of letting ourselves grow out of the when it's over part.
Right. Because we want to attach ourselves to those joyous occasions, those joyous moments. But again, the only thing that changed in your life is the different aspects, like as far as, you being the athlete, you being the teacher. But Lavonna Martin is still there. You're still the same person. You're still great. You might not have as many people shouting and accolades and newspaper articles and stuff in this new role, but you're still that great person. You know what I'm saying? But you just like all that attention as an athlete, because this was like,
absolutely. I have embraced the fact that is what I loved about. I love walking.
Everybody does.
I love walking on the track, and they say, and in lane 4, right, Lavonna Martin, and I would be like,
that's me. Right? You know how to do that's me. Some people go
even though
I
didn't show that, even though you didn't know that, right? Because I wasn't showing that.
You wasn't showing.
That's right. But I like that, and so I love that whole aspect. So now, what do I like now about my life now? So I got this wonderful, wonderful guy that I've been married to for almost 30 years. Yeah. He's this big time coach. So that means I'm still in track and field. Right. He's important. Mm-hmm. We call it impotent. Mm-hmm. That's what he is. And I still get to be involved in track and field. Yeah. I still get to be involved. I call track and field my first love. Mm-hmm. It's my first love. He encourages me to be involved, which I love. And so what do I get to do now? I get to come alongside the next generation of young people. And I get a chance to be Mama Flo. That's what I'm known to them. Yeah. And I get a chance to, when he's hard on them, I get to pat him on the back and say, you're going to be okay. You know why? Because I've been there. Yeah. And I still have the memories. Right. And I've been at the level that they think they want to get to. Because
so you can give them the insides.
That's right.
Wow. So you're living what they say vicariously through your husband, through track and field. So that's great. Again, I think your new role is a very important role. My God, to be a child on the athletic, on a collegiate level, to have an Olympian aside you that they can just pick you and just get all kind of information. And,
Olympic silver medalist, please.
Olympic silver medalist. Sorry. That's awesome. That's great. I think this is a great new role too. And also, I know you're involved in another aspect. I think you'll be starting a podcast as well yourself. Let's talk about that. What's going on with that?
Yes. Cool. Thank you. Well, again, what I loved about our friendship is that over these last few years, as I've been still transitioning in some areas of my life, you have encouraged me tremendously. Like, hey, take your gifts and let's take your gifts to the next step. Yeah. And so part of that is, my podcast is called Taking a Deep Breath. Awesome. Because life causes us to take these aha moments and take a deep breath and just like ponder and think and make decisions, and sometimes not even making decisions quickly, right, but just thinking about what were my deep breath moments. And that's what I've enjoyed talking to you about, is just like these various moments in my life that I realized that I had the light came on. Like I feel like it comes on so much more now. What is that about? Is that aging or something? I just feel like it comes on so much now that I'm so grateful. Yeah. I'm so grateful for these journeys. Yeah. And so my podcast is going to be talking about these aha moments. And I really want to talk to women, but I'll talk to anybody about these stories of transitions and triumphs. Like,
that's great.
How did you clear certain hurdles of life and you see that you are triumphant in that? Because hurdles are hard. We were hurdlers.
Yes.
I mean, I got a lot of scars on my knees right, from hitting hurdles.
But you made it still, though.
But
right?
I made it, and I made it to a high level in my athletic career too. So stories of transition and triumph is what I like to focus on.
Oh, that's a great metaphor. Even though you got to jump over those hurdles, even though it's difficult, you can still be a champion. You can still triumph them. That's really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that's cool, Vonnie. Well, thanks so much again for joining me and sharing your thoughts on transitioning from that top level athletes. You're still a great person in my eyes, but I just really appreciate your time and your input, and thanks again.
Yeah, and I just want to thank you for speaking life into me. Thank you for getting my heart to open up, and more importantly, thank you for being consistent.
And I want to thank you for staying on this journey with me. Please like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel and on my podcast page. Thank you. Take care. And go light up the world.